Welcome to Soul Talk English. This is not a lesson tonight. This is a moment you recognize, a moment you have lived before, a moment few people talk about. Late night, the room feels too quiet. A single light hums above my desk. I stare at the wall, then the screen. One sentence waits. Simple and harmless, but my mouth refuses to move. The sentence lives clearly in my head. It exists. I know that it does, but not in English. First, it forms in my language, clean, fast, and comfortable. Then my brain starts its routine. Word by word, it begins converting, like dragging thoughts through mud. The meaning slows down quickly. The confidence drains away. I open my mouth to speak. Nothing comes out at all. The silence stretches far too long. Why is my brain doing this again? I know these words very well. So why can't I say them now? Why do they suddenly disappear? Am I broken in some way? My chest tightens without reason. The sentence feels dangerous now. Not hard, not complex. Just risky to even try, like stepping onto thin ice. I try again, slower than before. The words line up carefully. One mistake away from collapse. My tongue stops mid-sound. The moment breaks apart. You know this exact moment. You feel it too. That pause before you speak. It is not silence at all. It is pressure building inside. A heavy, invisible weight. The kind that makes your mind race. That forces you to check everything. Grammar, pronunciation, word order. While someone waits on the other side. Watching, listening, judging. I feel their presence, even alone. Teachers from years ago. Friends who corrected every word. Faces that smiled politely. Faces that slowly looked away. Say it right this time. Don't sound stupid again. Don't mess this up. My heart beats faster for one line. Not because it is difficult, but because failure feels personal. Like it proves something I fear. That I am not good enough. I clear my throat quietly. My hands feel slightly cold. The sentence restarts in my head. Native language comes first again. Then the slow translation follows. It feels automatic now. Completely uncontrollable. Like my brain doesn't trust me. You have felt this too. That strange delay inside. That moment confidence disappears. People think this is about English. Vocabulary. Grammar. More practice. They think I need more tricks. More rules. More techniques. Something to fix the problem. But this does not feel technical. It feels deeply emotional, like fear pretending to be logic. What if I say it wrong? What if they don't understand me? What if they understand and judge? My brain chooses safety instead. It keeps everything locked inside. Translation becomes a shield, a delay that protects me, even when it hurts badly. The sentence never leaves my mouth. I look away from the screen. The room suddenly feels smaller. The silence feels much louder, like it is judging me back. This is the part no one explains. They say, just think in English. They say, stop translating now. As if it were a switch. As if fear listens to orders. But what if translating is not stupid? What if it is not weakness? What if it is something else? What if my brain protects me? What if this pause has meaning? Because in that silence, I am not failing English. I am avoiding pain. And once you see that too, the problem changes shape. Because the real reason you translate is much deeper than English. The memory always begins in classroom. Hard chairs, white walls, cold lighting. The teacher asks a simple question. Not difficult, not advanced, just everyday English. I know the answer instantly. At least, I think I do. It forms clearly in my language. Strong, complete, confident. Then the delay begins again. My brain slows everything down. It searches for English words, one by one, carefully, like stepping on stones in water, afraid one wrong step will sink me. Hands rise around the room. Voices answer without hesitation. The teacher nods and moves on. Think faster. They are waiting. Why am I so slow? By the time I am ready, the moment is already gone. The class has moved forward. The topic has changed. I stay behind silently. This does not happen once. It happens every single day. In classrooms, in meetings, in casual conversations, in life itself. Someone makes a small joke. Everyone laughs immediately. I understand it too, just a few seconds late. Too late to react. The room moves on without me. Another topic replaces the last. And then it happens. The perfect sentence appears. Clear, fluent, accurate. Exactly what I should have said. You know this feeling. You replay conversations in your head. You say it perfectly after it's over. I walk home thinking about it, repeating the sentence again and again. It sounds so natural now, so easy, so useless. Why didn't I say that? Why am I always late? Why does this keep happening? The next day, I promise myself, I will answer faster. I will not overthink. I will push the words out, no matter how they sound. But when the moment comes, my body does not listen. My chest tightens slightly. My tongue feels heavy. The delay returns. Practice was supposed to fix this. That is what everyone says. Practice more. Speak every day. Don't be shy. So I practice. I memorize vocabulary lists. I study grammar rules. I repeat sentences out loud. I do everything right. Still, the same thing happens. My brain freezes in real moments, not during study, not during practice, only when it matters most. I think too slowly. Everyone is waiting for me. I sound stupid when I talk. These thoughts arrive automatically. I do not invite them. They show up anyway. You feel them too. That pressure in your chest, that fear of wasting time. Conversations move like fast trains. They do not slow down. They do not wait. They expect instant replies. I am always one step behind. People are not trying to hurt me. Most are patient at first. Some even encourage me. But patience has limits. I can feel it fading. The silence after I hesitate feels louder than any mistake. It feels like a spotlight, like everyone is watching, even when they are not. So I choose silence instead. It feels safer. It feels controlled. At least silence cannot be wrong. At least silence cannot embarrass me. Days turn into weeks like this. Weeks slowly become months. The pattern hardens. Understand late. Speak never. The painful part is this. I know I am improving. My vocabulary is better. My listening is sharper. My understanding is deeper. But fluency does not arrive. Speed does not improve. Confidence does not grow. If practice is not the answer, then what is? That question starts following me. Late at night, early in the morning, between conversations I never joined. Why can I speak alone, but not in front of people? Why does my mind betray me? One evening, I sit quietly, replaying another missed moment, another perfect sentence, too late, and something feels different, not broken, observed. I notice something important. My mind is not slow. It is careful. It is watching for danger. It is trying to protect me. The realization feels uncomfortable, almost frightening, because it changes everything. I decided to fix the problem properly. No excuses this time. No emotions. Just work. Hard, serious work. I bought new notebooks, downloaded new apps, saved new videos, made a fresh schedule. This time, I would do it right. Every morning started the same way. Vocabulary lists, flashcards, repetition. Again and again, I wrote new words carefully. Read them out loud. Use them in sentences. Check pronunciation twice. Then checked it again. At night, I studied grammar, tenses, structures, rules and side rules. I told myself this was progress. I'm doing everything right. I'm working harder than before. So why does it still feel wrong? The more I studied, the more I noticed something strange. My knowledge was growing, but my confidence was shrinking. I understood more than ever before. Movies made sense now. Podcasts sounded clearer. I could read long articles easily. Understanding was no longer the problem, but speaking felt worse, heavier, more dangerous than before. Every sentence felt like a test. Every word carried pressure. I started blaming my memory. Maybe it was weak. Maybe it was slow. Maybe I just couldn't store words properly. That explanation felt logical. You blame your memory, too. You think words disappear. You think your mind deletes them. You think something is wrong upstairs. That belief feels convincing. So I push harder. More words. More rules. More correction. Less patience with myself. I corrected every mistake instantly. Stopped myself mid-sentence. Restarted again and again. Trying to sound perfect. Trying to sound smart. Why can others speak so easily? Why does it look natural for them? Why does it feel dangerous for me? Then I blame my accent. The way my mouth moved. The way sounds escaped. The way my voice felt unfamiliar. Like it didn't belong to English. You blame your accent too. You hear it before others do. You judge it harshly. You imagine people noticing it, even when they don't. I watch pronunciation videos, mouth positions, tongue movements, sound drills. I practice in front of mirrors. Still, the fear stayed. Still, the delay returned. Still, my chest tightened before speaking. Still, silence felt safer. Nothing changed where it mattered. That's when blame turned inward. Not memory, not accent, not grammar. Me. Maybe I'm just bad at languages. Maybe I started too late. Maybe my brain isn't built for this. You blame yourself too, quietly, repeatedly, without mercy, without proof. The harder I worked, the more exposed I felt. Like failure was no longer ignorance. It was personal now. It was embarrassing. I noticed something painful. The moment I wanted to speak, my mind stopped caring about English. It cared about safety. It cared about survival. I wasn't thinking about words. I was thinking about consequences, about looking stupid, about being judged, about being remembered for mistakes. This doesn't feel like learning. This feels like threat. Every mistake felt permanent. Every pause felt visible. Every silence felt loud. The room felt hostile. Even when it wasn't, that's when the illusion cracked. Slowly, uncomfortably, I realized something shocking. Knowledge was not missing. I had more vocabulary than before, more grammar than before, more understanding than before, but less freedom than ever. That made no sense. If language was a problem, more study should help. More effort should reduce fear. More knowledge should create confidence. But the opposite was happening. So I asked a different question. Not about English. Not about memory. Not about accent. What if my brain is not slow? What if it is careful? That idea felt strange at first. Almost offensive. I didn't feel careful. I felt broken. I felt stuck. But the evidence was there. My brain worked perfectly alone. It worked perfectly while studying. It worked perfectly in my head. It only failed in front of people. That's not slowness. That's selection. That's control. That's protection. I wasn't translating because I was weak. I was translating because my brain wanted to slow everything down, to reduce risk, to avoid pain. Translation was not the problem. It was a strategy, a shield, a delay, a way to stay safe. You feel exposed hearing this because it removes excuses and it removes shame at the same time. More knowledge doesn't remove fear. More grammar doesn't remove fear. More effort doesn't remove fear. Fear ignores logic completely. That's the false belief. That English is a problem. That knowledge is a solution. That effort guarantees confidence. None of that is true. The real problem was never language. It was safety. And I was about to learn what translation really is. The realization did not arrive loudly. It came quietly, almost gently, like a memory resurfacing on its own. a feeling I had felt before, long before English entered my life. I started thinking about childhood, about how language first felt to me. Not words. Safety. Comfort wrapped in sound. My native language never scared me. I never planned sentences in advance. I never worried about mistakes. Words came out without permission, because nothing bad could happen. At home, I spoke freely, even when I was wrong, even when I sounded silly. Mistakes meant laughter, not judgment. Language was a safe place. English never felt like that. English arrived with rules, with correction, with pressure, with eyes watching closely. Teachers corrected me mid-sentence. Classmates laughed without meaning to. Every mistake felt permanent, like it stayed attached to my name, like it defined who I was. English is dangerous, my brain learned. Be careful. Slow down. Do not rush. I did not realize this then, but my brain was learning a pattern. Native language meant safety. English meant risk, and risk required protection. That protection became translation, a pause before speaking, a moment to check everything, a delay to reduce danger, a shield disguised as thinking. My brain is trying to protect me. It wants certainty before action. Suddenly, everything made sense. The hesitation, the silence, the delay. It was not failure. You feel this too. Your brain chooses safety over speed. It always has. It always will. That is its job. Translation is not stupidity. It is strategy. It is your comfort zone, a familiar place to hide, a way to avoid pain. Every time I translated, my brain was saying one thing: slow down, make sure it's safe, do not get hurt again. This was not about English at all. It was about trust, trusting that nothing bad would happen, trusting that mistakes were allowed, trusting that I would survive them. The more I studied, the more pressure I added. More rules meant more risk. More knowledge meant more judgment. No wonder fear grew stronger. You realize something painful here. This is psychological, not technical. No amount of grammar fixes fear. No vocabulary removes danger. Safety comes first. My brain never wanted fluency. It wanted protection. And translation gave it that. A moment to breathe. A moment to stay invisible. I remembered moments from school when teachers said, think first. Don't answer too fast. Be careful. Those words stayed inside me, so I became careful. Too careful. Careful enough to stop speaking. Careful enough to disappear. Careful enough to stay silent. This is why practice didn't work. This is why confidence didn't grow. This is why speed never came. Because my brain was doing its job, protecting me from embarrassment, from judgment, from shame, from being seen as stupid. You feel exposed hearing this, because it explains everything, and removes excuses at the same time. You are not broken. You are guarded. Translation is not the enemy. It is the symptom, a sign that your brain does not feel safe yet, and safety must come first. This realization hurt, but it also brought relief, because the problem was not ability. It was trust, and trust can be built. I asked myself a new question, not about English anymore, but about safety. So, how do you teach your brain that English is safe? That question changed everything, because it shifted the goal, from speed to comfort, from perfection to permission, from pressure to trust. The answer did not come from books. It came from observing myself. When did I speak freely? When did words flow naturally? When fear was gone, alone, with no judgment, with no consequences, with no audience. That was the clue. Fluency never starts with speed. It starts with safety. Safety before sound. Safety before confidence. Safety before fluency. Thinking in English begins with trust. And the shocking part was this. The solution was not complicated, not technical, not difficult, just unfamiliar. The answer shocked me, not because it was complex, but because it was so simple. I followed the advice everyone repeated, the simple rule they all believed in. Think in English, they said. Force it, they said. Your brain will adjust. So I tried to control my thoughts. I woke up and pushed myself. No native language. No comfort. Only English all the time. I named objects around me. Chair. Window. Phone. I described my actions silently. Walking. Sitting. Breathing. At first, it felt productive. Like discipline. Like progress. Like I was finally serious. Like this would fix everything. Then my mind began to resist. The harder I pushed, the louder the tension grew. Thoughts slowed down. My head felt crowded. I tried forming full sentences. Slowly, carefully, one word at a time. Every thought felt forced. Why can't I control my own thoughts? Why does this feel so heavy? Why is my mind fighting me? The moment I tried to speak, panic crept in quietly. My chest tightened, my breath shortened, my mind went blank. The sentences I practiced vanished. Words hid somewhere unreachable. My tongue felt disconnected, like it did not belong to me, like I lost access to myself. You push harder in this moment. You tell yourself not to stop. You believe effort will win. You believe force equals control. You believe quitting means weakness. I did the same thing. I doubled the pressure. I corrected every thought instantly. I restarted sentences again and again. I gave myself no rest. And I got worse. Not slower. Not the same. Worse than before. More frozen. More afraid. My mind shut down to protect itself. Thoughts stopped flowing. Silence became constant. English felt distant. Even my native language felt far. This isn't learning. This is panic. This is survival. Every mistake felt dangerous now. Every pause felt permanent. I started avoiding speaking completely. Even alone. Even in my head. You know this descent. The moment effort turns into fear. The moment motivation becomes pressure. The moment advice becomes a weapon. The moment you feel trapped. People say, just relax. But relaxation cannot be forced. They say, just don't think. But thinking is automatic. They say, just speak. Those words never helped. They made it worse because they ignored one thing. The brain does not obey threats. It reacts to them. I realized something painful. Forcing English felt like danger. My brain treated it like risk. The harder I pushed, the more it pulled away. Pressure created resistance. Control created fear. Effort created shutdown. Not because I was weak, but because I was human. You experience this too. You push harder. You get worse. You lose trust in yourself. You feel broken. But nothing is broken. The system is working. Your brain is protecting you from overload, from emotional threat. That's when the question changed. Not how to force English. Not how to control thoughts. But why control felt necessary at all? What if control is a problem? That question terrified me. Because control was all I had. Control felt like effort. Effort felt like hope. Letting go felt like failure. But holding on was killing progress. The more I forced thinking, the less I could speak. The more I tried to manage language, the more language disappeared. I noticed something strange. The only moments I felt fluent were moments I was not trying. Laughing, reacting, responding naturally. Those moments scared me because they had no control, no planning, no checking, just instinct. And instinct felt unsafe. So I crushed it with effort, again and again, until nothing was left, only silence. This is why forcing fails. This is why advice breaks people. This is why you feel stuck. Pressure does not create freedom. It creates resistance, fear, shutdown, avoidance. I reached a breaking point, exhausted, frustrated, ashamed, completely stuck. That's when I did something different. Not better, not smarter, Just opposite. I stopped forcing my thoughts. I stopped trying to think in English. I stopped controlling every word. And that decision changed everything. The change did not come with effort. It came with exhaustion. The kind that removes resistance. The kind that stops forcing. The kind that finally listens. I stopped chasing fluency. Stopped pushing sentences. Stopped correcting every thought. I picked something small instead. Almost too small to matter. A graded reader. Simple words. Short sentences. No pressure to speak. No rules to remember. No goal to perform. Just a story. Quiet and ordinary. I opened the first page slowly. My body felt tense at first. Waiting for struggle. Waiting for confusion. Waiting for failure. But it didn't come. The words moved easily. Not fast. Not slow. Just naturally. I didn't translate. I didn't check grammar. I didn't pause. I didn't translate. It just made sense. The meaning arrived before thought, before analysis, before fear, like recognition, like memory waking up. I kept reading, page after page. Something strange happened. My chest relaxed. My breath slowed down. No tension, no judgment, no pressure. The story played in my head, not in words, in images, in feelings, in understanding. This confused me because it felt familiar, comfortable, safe, almost forgotten. You know this feeling too. This is how you learned your first language. Without effort, without fear. You didn't translate as a child. You didn't think in rules. You just understood. And understanding came first. Thinking came later. I realized something important. My brain was calm, not excited, not stressed, just open. And openness changed everything. The words stopped feeling dangerous. The story felt harmless. There was nothing to prove, nothing to protect. This is different. This feels safe. This feels real. I read every day, not long sessions, just enough to enjoy, enough to stay relaxed, enough to feel curious. No dictionary, no translation, no checking. When I didn't understand a word, my brain guessed. From context, from feeling, from experience. And it guessed correctly. Not always perfectly, but close enough to continue, close enough to stay calm. You feel this shift inside because it removes pressure. It removes performance. It removes fear. This is how learning actually works, not through force, but through safety, not through speed, but through comfort. The nervous system leads learning, not intelligence, not discipline. Calm comes first. I noticed changes slowly, not dramatic, not loud, but real. Words began appearing naturally, not translated, not planned. They showed up when needed, like they belonged there. Speaking felt lighter, still imperfect, still slow, but not painful, not dangerous. Understanding comes before thinking. Thinking comes before speaking. Speaking comes last. This order matters. I had reversed it for years. Trying to speak before understanding. Trying to think before feeling safe. No wonder everything collapsed. You wonder something now. You feel hope, but also doubt. Can this really last? Can something this simple work? Can this really rewire the brain? I asked myself the same thing. I waited for fear to return, for panic to interrupt, for the old pattern to attack. But something unexpected happened. The calm stayed. Not perfectly, but consistently. The brain learned safety first. And safety unlocks speed, not the other way around. Mistakes stopped feeling fatal. Pauses stopped feeling embarrassing. Silence stopped feeling dangerous. I was not fluent yet, but I was free. Free from fear. Free from pressure. Free from control. And freedom changed everything. Then something unexpected happened. The moment did not announce itself. No dramatic music. No applause. No warning at all. It looked like any other day. I was standing in a familiar place, a small conversation, nothing important, no preparation, no time to think. Someone asked me something simple, not a test, not a challenge, just a normal question, the kind I used to fear. And before my mind could interfere, before translation could appear, before fear could rise, the words came out. Naturally, not perfect, not polished, not impressive, but real, free, mine. That wasn't translation. That was me. I felt it instantly, not in my ears, in my body, a lightness, a release. There was no pause, no checking, no inner voice screaming rules. The sentence wasn't fast, but it didn't hesitate. It moved forward, like it trusted itself, like it belonged. The other person nodded. They understood me. They responded normally, and the world didn't collapse. I stood there quietly afterward, heart beating, mind strangely calm. Something felt different. Something had shifted. You don't feel smart in this moment. You don't feel successful. You don't feel proud. You feel natural. You feel normal. You feel human. For years, I thought fluency would feel powerful, sharp, impressive, confident in a loud way. But this felt soft, almost invisible, like breathing, like walking, like being myself again. I replayed the moment later, not to correct it, not to improve it, just to understand it. There was no translation step, no native language first, no conversion process. The meaning appeared, and words followed it. That order mattered. Meaning first, language second. This is how it's supposed to work. I realized something important then. I didn't try to speak well. I didn't try to sound right. I didn't try to think in English. I just responded, and my brain followed. You imagine yourself here now, in that moment, speaking without effort, not perfect, but free. The fear you carry for years is not present, not gone forever, but quiet, small enough to ignore. You wonder something now. Why did this work? Why now? Why not before? I asked the same question. Because I had tried everything. Hard study, discipline, force, and none of it worked until I stopped chasing fluency. That's when the truth became clear. I didn't break through by learning more English. I broke through by feeling safe. Safety changed my identity. I was no longer a learner trying to perform. I was a person having a conversation. This wasn't a skill upgrade. It was an identity shift. I am not translating anymore. I am responding. That difference is everything. Translation keeps you outside. Response brings you in. The voice changed that day. Not the sound. The source. It didn't come from rules. It didn't come from memory. It came from meaning. From instinct. From trust. You start to see it now. Why forcing failed. Why pressure backfired. Why safety unlocked speech. Fluency was never speed. Never perfection. Never thinking in English. Fluency was permission. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to exist. Permission to respond without fear. I wasn't fluent yet, but I was finally free. And freedom changed everything that followed. That's when the final illusion broke. The belief I had carried for years. Because thinking in English was never the goal. Everything slowed down after that day. Not because progress stopped, but because panic disappeared. The urgency faded. The noise finally went quiet. English no longer felt like a task. It appeared in small moments. Unplanned, unforced, while reading a sign, while answering a message, while reacting to a joke. The words arrived gently, without asking permission. I noticed something strange. I wasn't trying anymore. And because of that, nothing resisted me. Nothing pushed back. I thought about the old belief. Think in English. The pressure behind those words. The command. The force. That was never the truth. Thinking in English was not about control. It was about comfort. I stopped translating when I stopped judging. That sentence changed everything. Because judgment created fear. And fear demanded protection. Translation was never the habit. Judgment was, I judged every mistake, every pause, every sound, and my brain learned one thing. English is dangerous. When judgment disappeared, so did the shield. Translation faded naturally, not forced, released. You feel this shift now. You don't need to force English. You need to live in it, not perfectly, not loudly, but honestly. English began showing up during normal life, ordering food, replying casually, thinking about daily plans. No grammar checks, no internal corrections, just meaning moving forward. That's when I understood. Thinking in English is not replacing your language. It's expanding your identity. You don't lose yourself. You gain space. Another way to exist. Another way to respond. Another way to feel. This realization was calm, not dramatic, not emotional, but deep. Language stopped being a subject. It became a place I could enter without fear, without permission. You rethink learning now. All those years of pressure, all that self-blame, all that force, none of it was necessary. The brain never needed control. It needed safety, and safety changed everything. English didn't change my life loudly. It changed it quietly, in confidence, in presence, in how I saw myself. I wasn't chasing fluency anymore. I was living meaning, and fluency followed. This is what thinking in English really means. Not speed, not perfection, not performance. It means trust. It means permission. It means identity expanding. You don't become someone else. You become more yourself. And once you see that, once you feel that shift, learning is never the same again. Because this doesn't just change how you speak. It changes how you exist. And this changes more than your English. I speak to you differently now. Not from pressure. Not from effort. From calm. From experience. I am not chasing words anymore. I am letting them come. And because of that, nothing feels urgent. Nothing feels dangerous. I still make mistakes. I still pause sometimes. But fear is gone. Or at least smaller. Quiet enough to ignore. I'm not afraid of mistakes anymore. They don't define me. They don't stop me. For a long time, I thought I was behind, late, slower than everyone else, missing something important. But that was never true. I wasn't behind. I was careful. I was protecting myself from judgment. You need to hear this clearly. You're not behind. You're just protecting yourself. Your silence was not failure. Your hesitation was not weakness. It was intelligence trying to keep you safe. And that deserves respect. English was never the enemy. Fear was. Pressure was. Judgment was. And once those disappeared, language followed naturally. You don't need to push harder. You don't need more rules. You don't need to punish yourself. You need permission. Permission to exist in the language. When you stop judging yourself, your brain stops hiding. When your brain feels safe, it stops translating. It starts responding. That's the truth no one tells you. Fluency is not effort. It is comfort. It is trust. It is identity shifting quietly. I didn't become someone new. I became more myself, with another voice, another way to express meaning, another place to belong. This journey changed how I learn, but it also changed how I see myself. I am not broken. I was never broken. I was human. You are human too. Your struggle makes sense. Your fear has a reason, and your progress is closer than you think. Language does not demand perfection. It asks for presence, for honesty, for patience, and for safety. When safety comes first, everything else follows. Understanding, thinking, speaking. This was never about English. It was about trust, about identity, about giving yourself permission to be imperfect and still speak. And once you see that, learning stops feeling heavy. It starts feeling natural. That's when everything changes. I want to leave you with clarity, not motivation, not pressure, but understanding, the kind that stays with you. Everything you felt makes sense now. The pauses, the silence, the fear before speaking. None of it was random. You translate because your brain learned fear first, not grammar, not vocabulary. Fear came before everything else. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of being remembered for a mistake you never forgot. Your brain adapted to survive that. Translation became protection, a delay, a shield. And the moment safety returns, the moment judgment fades, your brain loosens its grip. It no longer needs protection. So translation disappears on its own. That's when English feels natural. Not because you forced it, but because fear is gone, because judgment is quiet, because trust is back. I don't translate anymore, not because I am smarter, but because I am calmer. You see the truth clearly now. This was never about English. It was about identity, about safety, about learning who you are when fear is no longer leading. Here is the part that changes everything. You don't translate because you're bad at English. You translate because you care. You care about sounding right. You care about being understood. You care about how you are seen. That is not weakness. That is humanity. If this story felt personal, it's because it is. It mirrors your experience more than you realized, and you are not alone in it. If you want more stories like this, stories that change how you see learning, how you see yourself, and how you move forward, then stay connected. Subscribe for more stories that change how you think. And if you feel ready, comment below. When did you first feel afraid to speak English? Share this with someone who feels stuck, someone who thinks they are behind. They might finally understand what is really happening. Because the moment fear loses control, everything else follows.